We are live. Hello, welcome everyone. We are running a little late. Lynn and I have had one of those days where my contact busted and a few other things. So, anyways, we made it. We did not give up. We are here.
That's right. And we don't want to manifest any of that because
That's,
we're going to be talking about manifestation today. So we
that's,
don't want to manifest that stuff for in the future. So
that's
it's
exactly right.
gone.
It's gone. It's over. We persevered through it.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And now everything is wonderful and perfect. It's just, yes.
That's
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. So,
Today, we are going to be talking about, as Lynn was saying, manifesting, but with a twist. It's not just about manifestation, it's also about our responsibility individually with manifestation. So, before we begin, hello, Melissa. Welcome to see you. Oh my gosh, yes. Melissa said, "Oh, and so many blessings to you as well, Melissa." And she said, "Blessings, my love, manifesting, heart, heart, heart." So,
oh,
love you, Melissa. Thank you so much for joining. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this off to Lynn. If Lynn, if you are good with that, and
yeah,
step in from here and there from time to time because I also have some things that spirit relayed to me. Those of you that are new to my channel, this is going to be very, very good for you to learn if you're interested in manifesting. Okay. So please, whatever you do on this video, I would not click off early because I guarantee you there's going to be at least one thing, if you're interested in manifesting, that you are going to learn from this. That's really going to be helpful because Lynn and I both, we manifest easily. We've had to experience life to learn how to manifest easily. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Lynn. Lynn, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here.
oh gosh, thank you so much for having me. And I can't see the chat. So everybody in chat, hello. It's good to see you. You know, I call her Shelly Bean.
Yeah.
Shelly Bean and my sister Michelle and we were talking the other day and the importance that people have forgotten about manifesting. You know, so many times people will put out manifestation with expectations and demands. And when it doesn't happen instantly, they do that. See, it didn't happen for me, or it doesn't work for me. And you don't realize that those words negate. It takes at least 48 hours to even get it rolling in that direction and positive. And there are little things that people do just even unconsciously to negate it. You know, how many times, you know, do you hear somebody say, "Oh, well, I'm never lucky, and I'm always the last one," or I'm, you know, all of those kinds of things. Not me, not me. I'm not manifesting that for myself. But the thing is there are little things that you say, or even that, you know, you have to be responsible for your thought. Your verbalizations are like on steroids in there, but the thought and the verbalization together is like a double whammy. So you have to be responsible, and you know, it all depends on too how our brains work, and how our thoughts shape that our thoughts actually shape our reality. You know, everything in life, like our jobs and our relationships and everything, all started as a thought in our mind as ideas. And actually, I also took some notes that I was writing down here.
Sure.
Anyway, it's led us to where we all are now. And people, you can't play the blame game. The blame game keeps you stuck.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, let's get real. Y'all picked your parents, okay?
Yeah.
So you picked your parents, no matter how wonderful or how awful they were. You picked them so that it would shape you in a certain way to be here to accomplish certain things and to overcome certain things.
That is
That's
it, Lynn. You hit
right.
it on the head. That is
Yeah. You know, that song, "She Done Me Wrong," you know, the country music songs about he done me wrong, she done me wrong.
yeah.
Well, you picked them too.
Right?
So you can't complain if somebody cheated on you, if you were the one that picked that person.
Yes.
So, our decisions and our choices and our thoughts create our future. And so you would think, since our thoughts have created our reality that we're living in now, that if we were to change the way that we think, that it could change the outcomes down the road and better things come to us in more manifestation. Again, not putting any expectation or demands on those things, because even that little tiny bit of disappointment or anything like that negates any of the good stuff. And the thing about the universe is that it doesn't understand joking, sarcasm, or jest. It will take you at your word of what you would say. So when you say something like, "Oh, I just want to die," cancel clear, but something like that, it goes out there. It goes out there into the ethers, into the universe, and down the road, you could have some kind of a tragic event.
I would like to comment on that, because I have, like, when I've been trying to talk to people that were close to me about this, there have been many that have made comments like that, Lynn. And there have been a few that have the belief system, which is okay, but I hope that we can teach you better tonight. But there are a few that had a belief system of, well, the universe knows if I'm joking. No, the universe is black and white. I mean, it's either this way or this way. It's either yes or no. What do you want? Do you want this or do you want that? It has no feelings. None. Okay? None.
That's absolutely right.
So, yeah, but go ahead. Sorry about that. But,
and adding to what Shelley Bean just said, you also have to be specific. You can't just say, "Wow, I want a hamburger." Well, then you might get a hamburger that's not cooked. Well, I want a hamburger on a bun with all the fixings. Well, the universe doesn't know what all the fixings is. So you may get a hamburger on a bun with pickles and onion and lettuce and some things on there that you don't like. And then you get it and you're like, "Ew, there's cheese." Well, you have to be specific. A lot of times it's a good idea to write it down when you're manifesting, so that you can even look at yourself in the mirror and read off what you have written while you're looking at yourself. I would like to have a hamburger, medium well, on a sesame seed bun with mayonnaise, fresh onion, sliced tomato, lettuce, and no cheese. Or don't even mention the cheese. But you have to be specific, and and with everything, with relationships and everything. So many women are like, "Well, I would like to have a man in my life." Well,
I did that before, and let me tell you, that does not work well.
No, it does not work well. They're going to send you a man, all right, but he may be a convicted felon and somebody that's unemployed or that doesn't take baths.
Oh my God, you just described the past.
Hey, listen, I've got an ex that used to not use toilet paper after he'd take a dump. Needless to say, he's an ex. Of course, though, that's gross. It's true. It's very gross.
Well, hey, we speak truth. So,
but it is true, and those are things that you don't find out about somebody until you're actually living in the household with them. Right. So you have to be specific, and also keep in mind, people, too, if you want some gorgeous hunk with a great body, and yours ain't so great, it's a time for you to spend taking time to make yourself, to love yourself enough to make yourself fit and trim and equivalent to whatever you're asking for.
Yes.
So, and that's true. And another thing too about manifesting that people don't get, you got to keep your space clean. Yes. You've got to, because the energy is stymied and is negated by clutter and mess. So you need to definitely clean all of that out so that the energy can move and open up for you. And also, when your area is cluttered, your brain's usually cluttered too. Right. So that putting that in motion itself is also very, very helpful.
So Lynn, I would like to add, while you're talking about that specifically. So what Spirit showed me, a way to bring it forth for humanity is, if you think of your body as a device, those of you that are used to hearing this, please just bear with us just a moment for those that are new. Um, think of your body as a device, because we all have an energetic field. We are all made up of energy. The entire universe is made up of energy. Okay. So, Spirit wanted me to uh, have you think of, what if you're trying to download something on your device and your device is full? What does it do? Let's say you're using your phone. Okay. What does it do? If it will give you some kind of message that you're going to have to, like your storage is full or almost full, you're going to have to make more space, right? So in that case, what do? You have to either delete old photos, old videos, things that no longer serve you, remove apps that you haven't used in a long time, which is going along with exactly what Lynn is saying here about releasing things. Like I have went down to bare minimum. Like I have bare minimum, what I have to have. That's it. That's it. I'm done with all the stuff, because it is clutter. I'm done with all the stuff hanging on the walls and all that. Yes, it's nice, and I don't mind to have something nice here and there, but not the clutter. I used to have stuff everywhere, because that's how I was brought up. But once I was okay, I really dealt with it, because a lot of my things were handed down. So, I really had to deal with the thought of releasing these things. And what I did was I ended up, taking pictures and keeping the pictures and handing things off to people that needed them, that would really use them, instead of having them sitting in a hutch just looking at them and having to clean all the time, never using them. Okay, because I knew that's not what my family would want, anyways. They would want us to use them, right? So it's like going through mental processes like that, releasing them. So think of the device, releasing old photos, releasing things that just don't serve you anymore, right? So then once you get done with that, usually we have to turn the phone off, reboot it, right? Start it back up, right? And when we start it back up, then voila, we have lots of free storage space. Yeah. Well, at that time, we can then download the app that we were wanting to download. Well, if you look at our energetic bodies, our energetic space, if we go through, as Lynn was saying, and we begin releasing, what no longer serves us, whether it's clothes we've had, hanging for years that we don't wear, whatever. Um, when we get rid of that, it does reboot us. It energetically, it's like we can breathe again. And if you feel like you can't, you may need to cleanse your space, cleanse your body, like spiritually cleanse, cut cords, things like that as well. Move things around in your home to create, like an energy flow. So reboot, that's key. You've got to reboot. Once you reboot, then you have all this space. And a lot of times, what I have noticed is there have been, like certain people in my life that weren't good for me, right? And I had been, and I knew it, but I kept staying. I did. I kept staying because I didn't want to let that go, even though it wasn't good, and it was constant bickering and fighting and all that. Um, I stayed. But then I realized, as soon as I released 100%, I was done. Okay. And that person was no longer a part of my household. I kid you not. Okay. Within 24 hours, this happened 3 times so far. Within 24 hours, things that I had been trying to manifest, some of them for years, started happening. Boom, 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 boom. And it was because I did that same process. I just didn't realize I was doing it until Spirit relayed it to me that third time. Okay. So, but Lynn, what do you feel about that?
No, I totally agree. I mean, I've had the same thing happen as well. Like, you know, and they didn't happen immediately. The thing that I noticed too about myself is I've been married twice, and the first time that I was married, I didn't, going through that divorce, I was constantly angry with my ex and, you know, all of these things. But I didn't realize when I came to my second divorce, I was going through the exact same thing. It only it like manifested years later, but I changed it. You know, once I saw it, so it also came out different, and things started popping for me as well. And you know, right now, with the vibration changing, there are people that are going to be disappearing in your life, and some of them you're going to say, "Oh, darn, that one too. Oh, I didn't want that one to go," but they end up going, you know, for no reason. Sometimes no explanation. They just gone like a poof, you know, and you're just left there standing there scratching your head. But you got to understand that this is part of what's going forward. Our minds are so strong, and these earth things are keeping us anchored in this third dimension, and you have to start manifesting more positive things for yourself and letting go. Just like Michelle said, you know, it is so important. The clutter that holds you here, that, you know, I'm doing the same thing. I have gone through all of my pictures, and I put packets. Here's one child, here's the other child, here's another one, and here's a mix of everybody that they can all get copies of, you know, but they can take their bags. Or here's the great grandmother's ceramics, and here's, you know, pictures from your great grandmother, you know, type thing. I'm doing the same thing. It's like, and it's also like, and the thing is I've been struggling with my weight, getting that last 20 pounds off. And once I started to do that, which is recently, the weight is just falling off.
Oh, Lynn, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's just falling off. I mean, I'm down like 15 of those pounds. Yeah. Yeah. So it does, you know, work that way, but people have to be responsible of their, the way that they think and what they say. And like Michelle was also saying, even relationships, sometimes we stay in there because we're looking for validation through that person.
Yes.
And really, you have to love yourself first. And sometimes when you start to love yourself, then you don't really need the person anymore, you know?
True, because I didn't know what loving myself was. I honestly didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Time I thought, you know, because you know how I grew up, that was just how it was. You know, it's what I knew. And it was like, you know, you try to hang on, you try to make it work, and you keep trying, which means you keep taking nastiness in different forms.
Yes.
And not seeing that, hey, wait a minute, I don't deserve that. No one deserves like that. And it's like taking that time to do that inner work. And guys, that inner work is hard. It is so bad. Did it hurt you, Lynn?
You know what? I have to admit, it did, but I found something else that works better than that mace energy. Actually, I'm in the internship now of that. But how that works is that it works with your energy field instead of, like in the medical field, it has to work with your physical body, your mental, emotional state, but it never works with that energy field. And yes, we all have energy fields. If you're sitting in a restaurant and there's a lady to the side staring at the back of your head, eventually you feel it and you turn to see who's looking because you feel it. Or like people will say, oh, well, if my dog likes a person, then that person's okay. That's their energy, that feeling thing. What happens is when we have an event happen, it doesn't matter when it happened, whether you're 2 or 22, it doesn't matter who caused it. It doesn't matter what happened. What matters is the way that you felt in that moment. And you didn't want to feel that feeling, so you resisted it. Yes. And so you made a ridge, and these ridges are stuck like little fuzzy balls all over in your energy field. And they are what you learn to, instead of responding to life, you're reacting to life. So what this does is it clears all of those death balls away. And it's a no talk therapy, because again, you don't I mean, and sometimes you can in one visit is enough. You don't
What?
have to go for years and years.
That's
But the
a,
thing is, yeah, and it clears it. You know, so many times people will say, "Well, damn it, she just knows how to push my buttons." Well, the mace takes the buttons away, and you will literally notice a huge difference within 24 hours, and it continues to blossom as time goes on. And sometimes you need a little bit of touch up because it's like layers of an onion. You know, you get the really really bad stuff off first, and then these little things start popping up, but you catch yourself and you're like, oh wait a minute, that's a ridge. I know it's a ridge, you know, type thing.
wow.
So it helps with post-traumatic stress, it helps with ADHD, it helps with all kinds of stuff. My daughter has currently also, she's decided to train because it's been so wonderful for her. She does have severe ADHD, and it is improving her ADHD. So yeah, but anyway, and anybody that wants is interested in having that done, I am booking the second half of October. Well, actually, I should say the first part of November. I'll be booking that, and I'm going to be doing some people as favors because I have to practice on a few people too. But yeah, it's well worth it. I'm telling you, there's nothing like it. You know, my son told me, you know, he's like, oh man, there's this guy at work. He just bugs me. There's something about him that just bugs me. He drives me nuts. I keep getting these things popping up on my thing. And then and also he was struggling with his job because of self-esteem. He was struggling with his job, and he was almost to the point that this guy was pissing him off because he was kind of over him, and he was getting ready to lose his job. And I'm like, you need to have mace. So I had my friend do mace on him. And the very next day he called me. He says, you know what? He said, I came to the office and the guy's here, and it's no big deal to me that he's here. He doesn't bug me. And now he is the number one person because got rid of his anxiety, got rid of his self-esteem issues, and what was holding him back, and he went straight forward to the front. So anyway, I'm sorry.
No, no, you're fine, Lynn. So Robin Dennis is here as well. And welcome, Robin. So glad to have you. And Robin is asking, is the spelling mace, is it MACE?
Yes, MACE.
Okay, very nice.
It's
So
yeah,
it's called mace therapy.
it's called MACE or MEM, which is a MACE energy method. The guy that created its last name was Mace, so that's where the Mace comes in. But it's Mace or MEM. It's out of Australia. It's brand new. It's going to be so appropriate. But I'm telling you, it will blow your mind. It will absolutely blow your mind.
This sounds like it's going to be a game changer,
It
honestly.
is.
Really cool.
My daughter and I, we look at each other and we're like, oh my God, you know, so many people in the world could use this and it would change their life for the better, so much better. And it doesn't change you as a person. It just makes you more of who you really are meant to be.
So nice.
Yeah. So it it makes you better. So now you're responding. Things that used to piss you off, just, yeah, well, about that, type
Right.
thing. You now respond, you don't react. So
Yes.
those emotions don't get in there, which is also important with manifesting to keep those under control as well. Because the emotions are your 2-year-old running off. You know what I'm saying? And you got to rein that one in. But you won't be responding from emotions anymore. And it's okay to have emotions. It's okay to have grieving or loss, and you experience it, but then you let it go.
Yes.
It's like clouds in the sky. They don't stick to the sky. They pass. So you do feel it, but then you let it go.
Very
So
good
yeah.
analogy. I like that.
So you were mentioning too that Spirit had mentioned some things to you about manifesting. Also, I was kind of wanting to hear that too.
Mhm. Well, is basically what I was saying. That's the first thing was about looking at our energetic field as a device. But then other things that I experienced. Now, guys, please keep in mind, those of you that are new, I had an NDE, was steadfast for a few years, had lots of time that I had to think. Okay. I had, and it was a training. I'm still in training every day. Please don't think I know everything because I never will. Okay. It's not possible in this human body. But um, at that time, I knew absolutely nothing about what we're talking about. Knew nothing about manifesting, the awakening, none of that. It just all started happening. I was born with open abilities, okay, but the way I was raised, I did not understand. With the belief systems, I was always taught that I was evil. Okay, it was evil. It was witchcraft. It was, it
Oh,
was.
I was too. I was taught the same thing.
So when I was laying there in bed and I was having these experiences, um, then it was like, and I kept having experiences with Jesus
I've
and
seen Jesus too.
unascended masters. And at
Hmm.
that point, I realized, okay, wait a minute. And at one point, I did pass away and went into the cosmos and felt God, like God, the God of the entire universe, wrap love around me. So
Oh.
it's like when I was sent back, something happened. It's like it did trigger that awakening. Um, but it's like during that time when I couldn't move, I was forced, to just lay there. So I watched, I started watching things on YouTube, and I began to notice a lot of things kept coming on about um like people, whether it was true or not, it was meant for me at the time. But it was like Ashtar, and people talking,
Hmm.
channeling different extraterrestrials. Well, see, at that time, I was literally going through consciousness portals, and I was ending up on spacecraft, coming back. Even though I was going in consciousness, I was coming back, and I would have red laser like marks on me. And my husband at that time would measure them. I mean, he saw them. There would be three dots, and either like in the shape of a triangle or a straight line or a diagonal, but it was always the same distance from one dot to the next. um, it blew his mind too that this was really happening. But it was like, as I was, like, these things would just pop up, and I wasn't used to, I didn't even know what these things were. But I started listening, and it was like one after the other. The more experiences that I was having, it all started clicking. So then I started having these things that were coming through about the law of attraction. So it went from kind of like starting to wake me up to where I was understanding stuff a little bit. And then that moved away. It's almost kind of like that stuff kind of left my YouTube feed. I didn't know anything about the algorithm, knew nothing at that time, wasn't online, barely knew how to work my phone. Honestly, guys, you see what I do now, and I surprise myself now. I can't, no, at that time, I knew healthcare. That was it. I didn't have time. That's all I knew. Yeah, I wasn't worried about technology or any of that stuff, other than if it was technology that had to do with healthcare. You see, so while I was bedfast, it was like I had all this free time, and I started noticing just out of the blue that things that I had been watching. It's like, where did it go? And like I would have to do extensive searches to find these things because there was all these other things flooding in, which was meant to be at that time, to help wake me up. I get that now, but it went into the law of attraction from there. And all of a sudden, it's like law of attraction just blowing up all over my feed. And so I started researching that. And the more I researched, it was like I started being told more, like to fill in the gaps of what I wasn't finding. So it's like, um, you know, the movie The Secret, which is awesome. I recommend that to anyone. Awesome. But there's more. There's more. There's so much more. But what I would do is I'm that type of person. I don't, even if I really, really care about someone, if someone gives me, like, says, I would do it this way, I take that information, but then, I think about it. I go to God, and I ask, is this for me? And I wait for signs. However, Spirit wants to send the information. So, because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you, right? And vice versa. So, what's good for me isn't always good for everyone else. Yeah. So, that's what I do. But anyways, so I had this information that came through at this one time, and you know how we see and hear things pertaining to the law of attraction. You've got the genie, and you've got the Aladdin's lamp, right? And the genie says, your wish is my command, right? So literally it is. And that's where, like, that is not just being cute or halfway. It is what we like. It goes deep, guys. It goes so deep.
We could do 5 shows on this alone.
Yes, it's like, okay, so thinking back to when I knew nothing about the law of attraction, okay, what I was being taught, it was like, I was going through the dark night of the soul too, okay, at that same time. And it was like the more that I was releasing, the more I was starting to see, because I was having to go through a lot of, like, I was being sent through like every traumatic situation I had ever been through. And guys, there was so much. There was so much. And I like literally cried for like a week and a half straight. Like my husband, my children who were adults, I mean, they're like, what is wrong with you? And I didn't know what was wrong with me. At that time, I just knew that I kept having all these thoughts and things I was having to process and let it go. I was having to release this stuff. And as soon as I would release it, it's like, okay, here's another one. Now you need to let go of that one. You've got to process this. You've got to see where you were at fault. You've got to see where they were at fault and use it as a tool. And that's where that first started happening, to where I was understanding, use it as a tool. Don't look at it as victim mentality anymore, because I was coming out of, like, Spirit was teaching me at that time about victim mentality. That's when I was learning that, oh my gosh, all these years I've been playing victim and I'm going in cycles. And so it's like, then it's like this aha moment of like, okay, now I get it. Now I understand, because the more visits that I had within consciousness, to the Akashic records, or what I call it the City of White. Some people may call it heaven, but it's actually not heaven. Heaven, it is, to me, it's the City of White where the Akashic records are. To me, from what I understand, heaven is what we think it is. So if it's a field of grass, then that's heaven, because we go where we think and feel that heaven is. So actually, this place is kind of like where the Akashic records are. It's kind of like, it's all of these ancient, huge ancient, like, buildings, everyone wearing white robes.
Grecian looking, actually, yeah.
Yes, it's absolutely beautiful. But anyways, the more that I guess I'll say, being taken at first. I didn't understand how I was getting there, but I would just be gone. I would blink and I would be there. And it was like I was learning in that moment that it's like, let's see, how can I say this, Spirit? Like, with the Akashic records, which was very interesting to me. I couldn't understand, okay, if this is another realm, why are there books? Because in my mind, I would just think that there were no books. How would you touch them? All of these things. But there are actual books, but they're filled with energetic information, if that makes sense. but it's like walls and walls and stories that just stories of books. It's like never ending. You can just look up and it just keeps going. But it's in within that I was like, oh my gosh, it was revealed to me that I had planned all of the big things that I had been through up until that point, including my accident, including being bedfast, including the people that had been in my life, just like Lynn said, my family, everything of the big parts. Okay. Now the smaller parts, that's our free will. Okay. But I'm talking about the big parts that really make an impact either way on our lives. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I planned this. This is real. I really planned this. So at that moment, it was easy when, okay, being in another realm and having beings explain something to you, help, at least for me, helped me to release this thought of, oh my gosh, okay, I'm a really bad person, releasing that and accepting that, oh, wait a minute, it's just a game. Okay. It's much easier for me to accept that. Whereas prior to that happening, I would have looked at someone and said, well, you are just absolutely, you need help. Let me get you some help, honestly. But by experiencing that over and over and over, and yes, in the beginning, I was on medication, very strong medication. But a year later, I was completely on no medication. And I continue today. And that was 2015 when well, actually, it all started 2011. Okay. But 2012 was the last year that I was able to work. 20 January of 2013 was when things started going bad. Okay. So 2014, it took a year. Okay, so I'm just going to say this. So I suffered so bad in pain. I wish I could tell you guys publicly, but I'm on a gag order. I can only say so much. But I suffered so bad that I was scream. And in Kentucky, they had just went through. There were a lot of drug dealers that were coming to Florida and getting prescriptions, getting them filled, going back to Kentucky and selling the drugs. Okay, well, so they had just caught a big, huge ring of people doing that. Well, so that affected people who were genuinely really, really in pain getting help. So it took a year for me suffering. And I'm not gonna lie to anybody. I mean, this is my true story. Um, I drank and I'm not a drinker. Okay. I'm not like maybe once or twice a year. I can drink that much and I'm out. Nothing, right? Um, but during that time, I had to do something to relieve my pain. And so I don't know if you know what Everclear is, but the huge bottles that looks like a moonshine jug has like a little ring for your finger. I would go through that like it was nothing. I had to keep myself knocked out for a year, and it was the grace of God that I did not become an alcoholic. I don't know how I did not, other than God and the divine, because there's no way. Um, but during that time, um, it was just a mess. Like, and I could remember that I was ready to give up. I remember that. I remember I didn't want to keep going on because it literally felt like there was glass inside my body. Like if you can think of Freddy Krueger claws, just constantly doing this to your organs inside, and just slicing you, and you can't get any help. That's what I went through for a year. Um, and so then they put me on medication. So that would have been 2015. I was on medication for a year. So 2016, I stopped off everything, completely off everything. I was doing yoga. I was meditating. I was connecting with God and the divine. And remember, my NDE was 2015. So for a year, I had been in connection. I had been doing everything that I could to stay connected. Once I was off medication, um, things continued, but actually had gotten stronger. The physicians, and I had to go to like psychiatric treatment as well at the pain clinic. It was like mandatory. If you were getting pain medicine, you had to be seen by the counselor or psychiatrist as well. And I would tell them about my experiences, and they diagnosed me with like dissociation. Um, and they said it was because of my medication and because, of the pain and all of that. And I would make comments of, well, but how do you explain this? Because I was born with most of what I was telling them, like prophetic dreams and, things like that happening and seeing, different entities. None of that was ever discussed. It was only pinpointed to right now, okay, you're in this dissociation. So that's okay. A year later, medications were gone. And so now here we are, 2025, and things just continue to get stronger. There was no dissociation. Okay. I am not on any medication, period. Period. None. So, and it's like, yeah, there are times that I have to use ice and freeze myself. There are times that I have to do things like that. But as far as taking medication, not even anything all natural. No, every once in a while, I may take a Tylenol or ibuprofen. That's very seldom, very seldom. So I've had to learn. And the point that I'm trying to get to with that is first of all, it takes time. It takes time understanding when we go within, when we have a lot of traumas, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, family associated, or however, it takes time to let it go. When you start realizing that, oh my gosh, I planned all this for soul growth. There's one part of me, it was like I could release it. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so this is just a game. Oh my gosh, that was my attitude. One side of it. Oh wow, okay, so I could just let go of all this because no, this is really real, right? But then there's this other part of me going through the dark night of the soul to where it was so deep and it hurt so bad. But it was such a good thing because people and situations that I thought that I had forgiven, in the way that I was taught how and why you forgive people throughout my life, that wasn't even true. And when I realized in that moment that it was for me, it wasn't to say that they were okay. Because I was raised, you forgive people no matter how mean they were to you, no matter what they did, what they said. You forgive them, or God will not let you go to heaven. That's not real. What is real? Because I've been with God. I have literally been with Jesus many, many times. And I can tell you with all honesty that that is not true. It is forgiving and releasing to set our souls free, to set ourselves free. It's not saying that other people think that they do or say that it's okay. No, but it's to help us release that so our spirit can be free. Okay. So once all this started clicking, it started becoming easier as far as manifesting, because then I started being able to recognize what was going on around me, the energies, like like the person I was married to at that time, the energies, the tantrum, all these things. I would notice that, okay, when he's in this mood, this is how I feel. And as Lynn was saying, our feelings really, really mean everything. And I was noticing, okay, because I would be like really scared and really anxious because I couldn't walk. And that was even more scary because, of some things that had happened. So it was like, I started realizing that the more my heart was racing in a negative manner, the more that energetically things would continue to linger on. But when I started trying, okay, I'm going, because I had seen something on YouTube about blocking other people's energy. So I started working with that. And it took time. I'm not gonna lie. It took several months for me to be able to do that. Um, sometimes people are just how can I say this? Sometimes people, again, I plan this, so this is nothing victim. Okay, I'm just trying to let you see how to overcome something here. So sometimes people in our lives that if they have like abusive qualities in any way, it can really especially like if you're afraid, um what happens is when you get into that oh my gosh, what are they going to do next? Oh Lord, please help me, that when you get like
The
that,
anxiety, yeah.
then more happens, more tantrums, more, just more and more and more. So as I was seeing these things that I was hearing people talk about, because again, I go to God for the ultimate advice. Okay. And so I asked the divine to explain this to me, show this to me. So I was shown. And what I saw was I saw myself laying in bed. It was a different bed, but still I was laying in bed. Okay. And I saw myself, I saw the person I was married to at that time, slinging stuff and, just being silly. And I was laying in this bed awake, but my eyes were closed and I was smiling. I was smiling. So that told me, guys, like, gosh, it's like, how can I say this? It told me spiritually to block people's energy when they're not being nice, which is going about into the reactions that Lynn's talking about here. Okay. Not reacting to people. That's when I started learning, okay, wait a minute. When he acts this way, I need to stop reacting. And how do I stop reacting? Because it would be so violent. Okay. How do I stop? And so then I started thinking, okay, I have to find my own happiness. Okay. So I started from there. What makes me happy? What really, really makes me happy? Where can I go in my mind? Can't walk, can't get up and do stuff. Where can I go in my mind? That's where it all began as far as learning how to block people, finding my own happiness. Okay. All this stuff is key to manifestation. It's not just happy thoughts. Okay. There's so much in there, Lynn.
Yeah, there is. And, if you think about it too, when you're upset and you're angry, are you going to make a good decision? If you're calm and you're not emotional, are you going to make a good decision? Yeah. So, and that's what she's saying. There are so many areas that we could go into that I think we have 1 hour. Are we on for 1 hour tonight?
However long you want. I know Cisco is starting at 8. So we want to be off of here by 8.
Okay. There are so many manifestation videos out there that you can listen to have you move forward with that. As far as the things that are, you've got to try something different outside of the box, go ahead. I'm sorry. Were you going to say something?
Oh my gosh, Lynn, Robin. Okay, so Robin Dennis said, she said, the afternoon I saw The Secret, I went into my job. on night shift in ICU and had the gentleman in the cowboy hat who was in the documentary as a patient. Wow. Huge
Wow.
wake up call from the universe. That is incredible. That is incredible. I'm sorry, Lynn. I got so, I was just so,
No, no,
thank you for sharing
that's
that.
okay. That is okay. I'm sorry, and I'm just a little off in a different direction, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to catch up with my thoughts here. I forgot what I was going to say.
It's
You
okay.
know,
I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. You're fine, sweetie. You know, the thing with manifestation is there are a lot of videos out there that you can definitely watch how you've got to change your thinking. Even if, you know, you do have to do the groundwork. You do have to declutter. You do have to do all of the stuff that we've talked about, you know, and learning to love yourself enough. You know, sometimes we project on needing to care for someone so much that we don't care for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that is codependency. That's not really healthy. And I'm not advertising mace, but mace would help people. It even helps with drug addiction and helps to take that away because it takes away the triggers that are the reason for which you do it.
So,
So
Lynn, you're going to actually like study on me. Is that correct?
yes, I am. And then she can tell you it's going to blow your mind. I'm in internship right now. I've completed the class. I'm doing the internship right now with the teacher. I should be released by about November 1st. Then I'm going to be doing 200 hours of clinicals with people like yourself, where I do it for free. It's a favor just so that I can have the teacher check in on it, make sure that I'm doing it correctly. And yeah, that's how I even learned about it. Dr. Jerry Marvinsky called me up and he's like, hey, you want a free MACE session? I'm thinking to myself, I've been through years of counseling. I've dealt with my issues, the little bit that I have left. I'm like, yeah, might be wasting your time, but go ahead. Man, he blew my mind. I mean, you know, I couldn't believe it. And again, you don't spill your guts. You don't have to tell. With the concept of manifestation and the way that this mace works is the fact that you don't regurgitate your past. You don't bring it up and have to talk about it for years because you're putting that back out into the universe to manifest down the road.
Yes.
You want to stop that right now. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So what it does is it puts you in a position where you get to start fresh and go forward and not, I mean, it's not that you don't forget memories, but they don't have the aha, I mean, they don't have that rich moment for you that they did before. A prime example, I had something very traumatic happen as a child. My father was a brilliant man, but he was an abusive alcoholic, and he would physically beat my mother. He would beat us kids, and so there was one night in particular that my mother and my sister and brother and I were all sitting at the table playing cards. And my dad was drunk and he came in, and I guess he was upset that the dishes weren't done because we were sitting there giggling, having a good time with my mom playing cards. And he grabbed a steak knife from the sink and he came and he threw my mother back and tried to cut her throat in front of us. Before, when I would think about that, because that is a post traumatic stress moment, when
Yeah.
I would think about that, I would have all of that anxiety come up in me, and I would have that flight fright mode where I had that day where we had to run from the house. We actually spent the night in a half-built house with no roof, but the cement floor was poured because this is in Florida, where they do the cement floor and the brick walls. So the walls were up, the outside walls were up, but the windows, there were no windows or anything, and having to do that. But now when I reflect back on that, I look at it and it's almost like I'm looking through a window and I'm watching myself and I'm watching the whole thing happen and I'm thinking to myself, that's terrible that that happened, but I'm not having that anxiety or that reactiveness to it, and I'm able to put it to rest and realize that that was something that occurred. It wasn't something that happened to me.
Yes.
You know, and that's the big difference. And I mean, in so many things too. I mean, people, you dilly-dally on certain things. There are ridges and reasons why you dilly-dally on certain things. Or maybe you didn't finish your education because you stopped short. Or maybe you didn't follow through with that job interview that you wanted and then you didn't get it because you waited too long. All of these things are ridges that make us make bad choices that create more chaos for ourselves in our lives.
Yes.
And this really helps to do it. But I know the show tonight was supposed to be about manifestation, and a lot of it we're not going to be able to get into. We'll have to do like a part 2 kind of thing. But anybody that does want to start, I'm suggesting, we could go on and tell you how to do some of it, but there are so many areas. There are people that are more experienced than me, like Dr. D'Esperanza, and a lot of them that are on there that you can go and watch their ability to manifest and do that. But again, you go into it without expectation and demands. You are open to receive. And people, it is so important to have that quiet space.
Oh, yes.
It's important to stop talking, and just to be. So many people are uncomfortable in that void.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that void is when all of the things start to come to you. So it's important to get it comfortable with that void area.
Yes.
Michelle and I are very, very lucky because we were born with gifts. And for a lot of people and we all are born with gifts. However, hers and mine, we were able to nurture them in ways as adults, not as children so much. We were shamed and we were threatened and, all of that, and told how awful those things were and had the bejesus scared out of us.
Yeah.
But all of us have those abilities. So it's important that you do get in touch with yourself with that. And then being quiet and in that voided space is so important. Meditation is important. When you say your prayers, when you say them out loud, even if it's in a whisper, it's like on steroids. And keep in mind too that yes, we have spirits that can come in and help us with things, but you've got to ask them and be specific. Same thing with manifestation, be specific. You can't just say, oh, I wish I had money. Bring me money. Well,
right.
They're not going to bring you money. You simply, you have to say, please put me on the path that will be the quickest route for me to be able to accomplish my goal with money. Then they can help guide you because you still have that freedom of choice. But verbalization out loud is so much stronger than even our thoughts or things like that. So prayers and everything need to be put out verbally, which is important. And for me to get started on some of the things that you can do to manifest, it'd be cut short. So that's why I'm kind of recommending that you listen to some things there. You have a longer time to listen to them, and Michelle and I can go over it further on another time, because I know that we're running into time. Cisco starts at 8:00. Everybody be sure to go over to Journey Through the Gate with Cisco. She's really excellent. She's on she's getting away from YouTube. What is that other channel that she's on? I forget. Rumble. Yes, go on Rumble. So anyway, definitely, do that and take some time and take a good look at whether you're taking care of yourself or not. Because when you take care of yourself, the universe takes care of you too.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Okay, so I guess we better go ahead and close. Let's see. There was something that I was going to say. I guess I'm going to leave it because if I think of it later, then it'll be meant to be, and I'll just jot it down for next time. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining. We are going to have a part 2, possibly 3 and 4, depending on how much information we can get through one show. And
I'll be here with Michelle every first Sunday of the month.
Yes.
And also as needed. And then I'm with Cisco the last Sunday of every month, and I've been hopping on a few Mondays with her too. So so definitely you'll find Michelle and I in other places.
Exactly.
And I'm going to be getting something. I'm considering getting something going as far as podcast. I'm still waiting on that podcast to reach out to me for Ground Zero. There's still been some holdups with that, but you know what? It'll happen when it's meant to, and I know that it will. So when I do that, I'm going to have Michelle on my show. So anyway, that's hopefully hopefully in the works before the end of the year, and yeah. So anyway,
Much love to you guys. Thank
much
you
love.
so much. And I guess if we can, um, I'm not going to promise anything because I know Lynn and I are super, super got lots and lots going on behind the scenes. Um, but maybe possibly we may be able to, we'll talk about it and see about maybe doing an extra show, whether it's this month or later on, um, about manifestation to where we can give you a little more than what we had planned initially, because Lynn and I, when we get to talking, it never ends. So
Well, and that's why I referred them to some other things if they want to start working on it right now, because we because there's going to be a 2 and 3 and 4, we weren't able to get that far yet. I
yeah,
didn't want to leave them with we're kind of leaving them with a cliffhanger. So, but at least we're giving them some tools to work with that way.
absolutely. But we want to be respectful to Cisco. We don't want to, cut her off on that timeline. So
That's right.
we're out of here. You all have a very beautifully blessed week, my friends. Bye.